Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CHP podcast. My name is Ariana. I am your host, as usual. Today, I'm here with Matt Stevens. Matt's awesome. He's kind of just been everywhere doing everything. I know that Matt was kind of in the OCR space for a while, owns a CrossFit gym, in the military, super active dude. I know I met him at Hybricon Games for the first time, but this was right after you had hosted Rally in the Valley for the first time. And I
Yep.
was all kinds of just amazing feedback about that event. Now, you host that in your hometown in West Virginia, which looks gorgeous. And you held it again this year, and I heard even better feedback.
Yeah,
So,
it keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. And
yeah,
typically, like when something like that happens, it gets worse reviews. But I think our reviews got even better this year, which is awesome. It's amazing. We're just continuing to hone this thing in to be the best possible hybrid event that there is on the market right now. And um, my ideas are continuing to flow, and I have so many awesome ideas for next year. But yeah, this was our third year, third season, whatever you want to call it, of hosting Rally in the Valley in Hurricane, West Virginia, and it was beyond amazing for me, and I think everybody else that puts blood, sweat, and tears into this behind the scenes.
yeah. I mean, it's just looking at the photos and the athlete feedback, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about it in like 1 second. But yeah, it just looks like such an incredible event. And I know from working alongside you at last year's Hybricon Games as like, I don't know, I was just kind of like your right hand person judge. I don't know. I was just running around behind you the whole time. But you're organized as hell. Like you are on it. And I'm sure that some of that comes from owning a CrossFit gym and hosting CrossFit competitions. But I feel like you were just kind of next level with that. And it was really impressive. It was really cool to see, and I was not surprised after working alongside you that rally ran so well. Like not surprised at all because you're just on it. So can you just give
Yeah.
a quick intro into like how you got here?
Oh man. So yeah, let's just I think that most of this I can like give thanks to the military and my background as being a SEER specialist and having that like crew resource management where I can take a certain amount of people and just have them do things and make things happen, right? Without that knowledge base and without learning from failure through life and through the military, like I don't think that I could handle something this grotesque and like this so many different things moving at one time, right? It's crazy to think about because there's an event going on this weekend. It's one run on a 10-mile loop, and the logistics behind it is just absurd, right? And the race director came to my house last night to drop off a few things that I need to bring up for him, and he goes, "Dude, I can't even imagine a 3-day event at 4 or 5 different locations and what you went through." He goes, "I'm at one location for 12 hours, and I'm just my head's spinning." So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's a lot of it's learning through failure to kind of where we got to be for Rally, and just the community support has been amazing.
Yeah. I'm so one of the first things I noticed when I was a judge alongside you last year was that you gave every single judge a sheet that had all of the information they could possibly need to do the best possible job judging. And I feel
Yeah,
like that's that's the way to delegate, I guess, is you just
it
gave
is a way
everybody
to,
power to like
yeah,
do a good job,
it
whether
is a
they
way to delegate. But like the thing is, that's that one thing that we really need help on in this space in the hybrid world is judging, right? Because most of these people are athletes or prior athletes or have some sort of knowledge base about movements and standard of movements, but there really is no like CrossFit has the judging course, they have standards and everything else. So like we just have volunteers, right? So I think the less questions that a volunteer or a judge can ask, the better. So like there's a lot of information on those sheets, but also not too much information to where it's overwhelming for them to look at. So standards of movements, right? Boom. If it's something like a squat, everybody should know that's judging, like, hey, below parallel, whatever, look for the hips, look for shoulders, whatever. And but the scoring aspect of it, I always thought like to take the thought out of that. You got to think of your lowest common denominator. So if somebody's not like there's all kinds of different like cognitive ways to learn and like to see things, right? So if you have a person who's like a visual learner, okay, cool, we'll put some visual stuff on that. Or if somebody is like more of like, hey, I need to be told what to do, cool, we'll put some stuff down on a paper, like words on paper so they can read it. So like you kind of got to think about each one of those individuals and how they're going to process the information and then put that on the sheet, because in the moment, yeah, we explain it, we go through like X, Y, and Z and how to do it. But if they have a question, there's not always a chance to be like, oh, hey, Ariana, oh, hey, Matt, I have a question. What do I need to do? It's like, it's on the sheet of paper, and you have to think about that. And it's knowing through failure and messing up in the past to
Yeah.
know what to put on that and how to do it. So it's kind of like a process that I've tried to teach Austin and Hunter and like other events that happen of the way I do it and the way that I put stuff on the score sheet. So very long answer to your question, but I think a lot of it goes into it's very intricate.
But I think that's your approach with everything though. And I think
Yeah.
that just chatting with you even for 5 minutes, like you are always thinking about everyone. You're always thinking about everything, and you are always holding all that information in your mind, and you're just trying to figure out the best way to execute and the best plan and the best system, which again, I'm sure points to your career in the military. Um, and I also know that this probably just reflects back on how the the way that you've built Rally is not like a you have to qualify. It's not like a you have to earn your way there via like a qualification or competition schedule. You just go. And
Yeah.
you made it so welcoming to such a wide variety of athletes, which also makes it kind of difficult because now you also have to program workouts that are kind of infinitely scalable based on what people's background is, what their skill level is. Um, Everyone who went is awesome, but you're kind of faced with this like you can't program extremely heavy RX weights. You can't program extremely complex movements. Um, and I did notice even in your workout selection this past season that you did a really good job of that. You kind of took your big pool of athletes and gave them a bunch of challenges that were really challenging but also achievable. Can you
Yeah.
kind of take me through like when you're doing event design and choosing the events, like what's your highest priority? What's your second highest priority? Like,
Yeah, my first priority is modalities, right? Because you don't want to like hone in and just like the first year or 2 years ago we did this and was like super like midline heavy and everybody's backs were jacked because we did like, sandbag stuff. I can't remember specifically what it was, but just lower backs were just toasted, right? So you got to think like honing it in. That's why we get better every year, because we learn from our mistakes from the previous year or somebody else's mistakes, or I go to a competition and learn from them what they did right, what they did wrong, and kind of pull that into what I want to do next year. So I think a lot of it, my priority is different modalities, right? Different time domains. And then also thinking about like your best athlete, your weakest athlete, because we welcome everybody and we don't have scaled competitions. And then honestly, I go off of my own abilities, because I'm at the point, I'm 39. I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, but also I'm not the weakest or I'm not the slowest. So like I'm right there in the middle. Honestly, if I put my scores up, I would probably be right there, 15th to 20th place. So around like midway point, right? So I look at my scores and my abilities and try to put those on the athletes in the workouts that we're about to do. So I'm a little bit stronger than like middle of the pack, but I realize that, and the typical like 135, 95 standard kind of carries over very well with some of these athletes, or most of these athletes. 80 or sorry, 100 to 120 pound sandbag for men, 60 to 80 for women, depending on what we do and how long we do it for, is kind of like the way I look at it. I always try to throw a little bit of something different, spice it up a little bit, or maybe not tell somebody the full details or tell anybody the full details, but have it in my mind of something they'll do. Because I think I said it before last week. I was like, I think these athletes are to a point now where they kind of trust me and know that, okay, I will be able to physically do all these things at rally. So I'm to a point now where I can give surprise elements and say, hey guys, just show up and this is what you have to do. Just be able to lift a sandbag. You don't know what you're going to do with the sandbag, but just know that you're going to use the sandbag in a workout. And I think I'm to that point where now where athletes are starting to trust me and trust the process of what rally really is and how it's built.
Yeah. Which means a lot because I think there have been some competitions in the past where it was almost like they were designed to punish the athletes, where they were like either so difficult or some of the events were so extreme on one end or the other, um, that it ended up either hurting athletes or they seemed like the events were just meant to make the athletes feel like shit. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sort of
You know,
dangerous or something like that. So
we
I
we went heavy with the deadlift ladder, and so
deadlift.
that you know, we wanted to keep everything scalable, if you will, for everybody to kind of compete. But it's still hard. Like those weights are still going to be hard for an elite athlete, and they're still going to be really hard for like somebody who's not that necessarily elite athlete. But the one workout that we really did want to go heavy was the deadlift ladder because it's a spectacle of like all this awesomeness into one little room. Everybody's crowded around it. So like you got to have the heavy weight because everybody's motivated and they want to hit that heavy weight. So I think the women we topped them off at 325 and the men their barbell was 500. So we went up to a pretty heavy deadlift for a deadlift ladder in my opinion. So that went really 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 well. So much so that we're bringing it back next year.
Yeah. I love that because it's like I feel like for events like this, you can have people and you toss them out on a trail, and it could be their second or third ever trail run. And they get to experience that, and they get to experience that and swimming and, maybe a Metcon if they don't normally do Metcons. But there's just something about strength sport where I don't know, I'm on the strength side. So for me, I'm in love with it. But when you have heavyweights and you have a small intimate space and everyone's maxing out, it is a vibe. Like there's an energy to it, and it's kind of this if you don't have a weight in front of you that you're not sure you can hit, but you really want to hit it, the energy isn't quite there. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't get
So
to that level. So just the fact that you were like, "No, we're going to go heavy, and if you can't lift it, that's totally fine."
yeah.
But for those of you who want to try, it is here. It's right in front of you. Go for it. And I think
Yeah.
that is it. Like that's the kick. I don't know. So like I was just so happy that A, you did it, and then B, that it just went so well and everyone enjoyed it. Cause like seeing all the feedback from people who were like, I'm gonna be stronger next year. I mean, like that's like
Oh
that.
yeah. People are, and then the people who weren't there suffer from like extreme FOMO. So like, oh my gosh, what do I need to work on? How do I get my name on off the wait list and onto the actual registration? Like, what do
Yeah.
I need to hone myself? Like, do I need to deadlift more? Do I need to power clean more? I'm like, guys, we're gonna do something. I've got something special lined up here in the next couple months that I'm gonna roll out probably December into the new year, but it'll definitely give some people an opportunity to get themselves off the wait list for sure.
That's exciting. Cause you have a
So,
lot of that. How many athletes are on the wait list right now?
oh, last year for 2024, we had 126 people on a wait list.
That's
This year already, so the way we do signups is a little bit different. So you have to like put your name in and then enter your credit card information in. It doesn't, we don't charge you. It's just the process of how to get your name on the wait list for this certain company that we're using. And even at that, we still have 42 people, and it's about an even split between men and women. So
wow.
I highly encourage people to just put your name on the wait list, and I won't bring you up onto the roster until I talk to you or physically get a thumbs up from you that hey, you're good to go to charge my card or whatever. Like I won't do that to you. So, but yeah, definitely put your name on the wait list because you never know. We're talking Labor Day weekend 2025 is when this is going down. So a lot can happen in that year where people drop out or need to or get injured, need to swap something out. So definitely put your name on the wait list.
Yeah, absolutely. So like looking at 2025, what are you going to obviously you're bringing back deadlifts, but like what are the things that you feel like are like the pros cons of 2024 where you're like definitely doing this again and definitely not doing that again like going into next
De-
year? You kind of touched on them, but
Definitely. So an endurance based run. And I thought, 7 to 8 miles was pretty good, but people still wanted more or longer to showcase their abilities. So this next year, we're going to do a 4 hour AM lap. So as many laps as possible on a 5K trail loop.
mhm,
That's fairly difficult. It has one pretty big hill and you get about 800 feet of elevation gain on every loop. Um, which it'll add up very, very quickly. And it's going to take a toll on a lot of people if you're not training on trails and doing hill sprints and whatnot. So that's one aspect that we're going to bring and amplify a little bit. One that we're getting rid of is probably the memory test, because it's just always adds to confusion, and people try to like argue with me on like how many bridges did you pass, and like did you mean man-made bridges or like a log over a space, a gap? And I'm like, man-made bridges. Like, well, that didn't say that in the question. It's like, so I'm just gonna eliminate
Yeah.
all the probably the memory test stuff. It was good. It's a good cognitive thing to have, but like it just adds too much confusion, and it's not really a fair test to some of the people who might not be paying attention to like details. So I get it. You're there to compete and you want to lift heavy things and move. So that's what we're going to stick to.
Yeah. That's really funny.
Again, learning from your failures, right? So
Yeah.
like it's not necessarily that we failed, we just didn't hit the mark on what I wanted to showcase from that aspect.
Yeah, like it wasn't smooth enough and it wasn't enjoyable enough or like clear
Yeah.
enough for the athletes
And
for you to
it's hard to judge, man. Like it's really hard to look at everybody's answers and try to figure out what they're trying to to say. And it's just it's crazy. So we're not gonna do that anymore.
yeah, a little bit too subjective. Um,
Yeah.
and then like, for 2024, obviously we'll talk about 2025 next, but like for 2024, did you guys have sponsors, and kind of who were the people that you feel like if you wanted to give them a shout out or that really contributed to
Yeah.
the like, this is your
So
space to
I have four. So four that really have stood by my side since day one, doing this thing and owning the gym. Go Ruck for one. Go Ruck has always been a huge contributor of ShotFire Fitness and Rally in the Valley. And I'm hoping I have a call with them next week. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they want to jump on board again. I know with CrossFit, that was a big, huge chunk they took out
Mhm.
um, of their pocketbook. So I'm hoping they want to jump on board and at least help me out with equipment or get some swag for the athletes or something.
Yeah.
The second one is U.S. Air Force Special Warfare, as you know, I've always been a huge component of them and vice versa. So we've always helped each other out. So they're always there, willing to help, whether it be buying swag, getting signs made because they have, just the avenues that they use for swag and stuff. Um, LRX, LRX. I can't say enough about Ryan and his whole team. He called me yesterday, in fact, and was like, dude, if you ever need anything marketing related, t-shirt related, like screen prints, I got you, man. Just have a conversation with me and we can work this out to make it beneficial for both of us. So that's huge. And then Brad Pullins, man. Brad Pullins has been a huge factor every year, making awesome awards, handcrafted wooden awards. Last year we used coal, and he chiseled out coal and put them on wood. I mean, it was amazing how. And this year they were breathtaking awards. He texted me this morning with an idea that I don't want to like take away his thunder, but man, these awards are going to be awesome next year too. He makes them from first place to eighth place because we always have top eight, and I think it really brings out a killer athlete when they should make the top eight. Like that's your goal for the whole weekend is to make that top eight. So I think rewarding them, we don't pay cash, we only pay cash for the top three, but like rewarding them with an awesome little thing they can hang or put somewhere in their office or whatever really is special. And he's been Johnny on the spot every year and making those and they're freaking awesome. So
Yeah. That's
but those four are the big ones, and there's a few small ones here and there, but we always want to take it to the next level and get a little bit more out of sponsorship. And it's just hard, like we were talking offline, like it's just really hard to do if you don't have a huge reach of like 1 million people on YouTube. It's very
mhm.
difficult.
Yeah. And it's hard to find partnerships and sponsorships that know what you want to do and are equally invested in it too. Because like, being shipped a bunch of drinks for your athletes is all well and good. Like that's awesome. But you're like, you're looking for someone who's gonna actually like be next to you during this event, or
Yeah.
like partnership with
And
GoRock. They understand what you're trying to do and like
yeah,
helping you
like
with.
money helps, right? Money helps drive in athletes. The
Yeah.
more athletes that come in, the bigger names you get, and the more outreach that you can potentially get or have, right?
Hmm.
And then obviously operations, so logistics, operations, whatever you want to call it, that is expensive, like renting trucks, helping, getting external help that you may have to pay for, paying out athletes, paying for additional equipment that you didn't have before, or like this year we broke a couple pieces of equipment, so like having to pay for that stuff. After everything was said and done, I was like 7 grand in the hole after this year's rally.
Yeah.
Everything's since been paid off just because I've kind of overlapped. And after when we opened up signups, like I just paid everything off because I hate owing people money. So like, but still 7 grand in debt. And if we had a sponsor that could help us out or provide the equipment, like that wouldn't be a thing. And we could operate in a positive manner and be in the green instead of the red. So it's just one of those deals where you, like you said, you nailed it. Like you just have to have a positive, like everybody has to have the same outlook on what your final goals are in that. So just one of those deals. I've got some pretty big sponsors lined up that hopefully can help us drive home our needs and our wants. One of the things that I want to encapsulate next year is to have some sort of documentary be made. I know Austin and Hunter have been trying to do the same thing. Like we want to be able to showcase what a hybrid athlete is and what they go through to train, because it's so vast and so different that nobody really knows. Like you can take an NFL player, Kurt's a prime example. He's strong, he's good at certain aspects, but all around, he may not have everything honed in, but still enough to make top 8. So like, what are those top 3 people, athletes? How are they training? What are they doing to gear up for rally? Are they just good athletes? Are they doing certain things that help them more than others? So that's
Yeah.
kind of what we want to showcase and highlight through this documentary is what hybrid training is, what a hybrid competition looks like, and how vastly different it is from like CrossFit and any other competition that's out there.
Which I love.
So
Yeah, that's it's the kind of like feature and outreach I think we need for this group because it's so niche, but it's also not because everyone is out there doing strength and conditioning. Excuse me. Everyone's out there doing a little bit of both anyway. So it's like who's doing both the best or
yeah,
who, and then no one trains the same way. You're right. Like everyone's
right.
different. Everyone's
And
doing different.
I have athletes like Joe Roberto. He's like, dude, all I'm doing is putting all my efforts into rally next year. Like I'm
Yeah.
just training for. I'm looking at the last 2 years, how you program, just knowing you. I'm gonna cater my workouts and write my workouts to something of that degree. And then obviously you have like Ryan Geiger, who has Geiger coaching. Him and Sarah, like they're putting on this camp for rally athletes in particular, and we're going to hone in their training just for rally. Like they're basing this all around rally. And I think that kind of coincides with what you need for a sponsorship as well, because it's hard for a sponsor to be like, yeah, why am I going to give you X amount of dollars when this is a 3-day thing? I'm getting 3 days out of the year. Like, how are you going to expand this and create this to be more than just 3 days? So having camps, having little pop-up, not qualifiers, but little pop-up events to where people can get their name off the wait list onto the roster and stuff like that throughout the year, selling merch with their logo on it, whatever, all these different things that we can do throughout the year to help hone in on what sponsorship is and what their ROIs could possibly be back to that company. So we're trying to take this focus and just drive it home to these businesses. Like, you want to invest in this because it's in the beginning stages, it's in the infant stages of existence, and like we're trying to build this. And I promise you, someday this is going to be huge,
Yeah.
and you're going to be glad that you were a part of it. So it's
Yeah.
just hard to portray that to a business owner or CEO on why they should do this. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
struggling with. But
Yeah, no, it's really hard, especially because I mean, in the current climate right now, it's not like everyone's rolling in dough. So it's really difficult to be like, no, it's safe to invest in me. Here's all the things that we are going to do with or without you, and it would really benefit you to be on board
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I totally
So
get that. And it's so tell me about, I love that you're doing the training camp, by the way. I think that's awesome. I think two of the biggest things about rally that stand out to me that I haven't seen in any other hybrid competition so far has been the emphasis on community, which is really difficult in hybrid sports because everyone's training separately. We're all over the world. We're all the same kind of crazy, but we don't work out in the same gym, and it's difficult. Like you want to make friends, but we're crazy.
yeah,
So
I have
like
to.
I love that.
I I really have to give this one to Emily because like I have a way to draw in people, and I have like kind of like an idea in my head of how to create camaraderie. But she was like, look, 3 years ago when we first came up with this idea to do this, she's like, Spartan is falling off. Like, look at the last Spartan event we went to, and I think it was like North Carolina somewhere, and it just everybody showed up for the race and then they left. Years
Mhm.
past, like people would hang out and they would stay there and they would, dude, just relax, shoot the shit, do whatever. And then these past couple of years, it's just been like everybody's gone doing their own thing, back to their Airbnb, back to driving home, whatever. She's like, how do we get these people to hang out and just like congregate and just relax and chill and be friends? And I was like, have a theme every year. You have a theme that it doesn't matter if it's hero. Everybody has a hero, whether it's Superman or your grandfather who served in World War II. Everybody has a hero, right? Whether you're 2 years old or 90 years old, you have a hero. So last year we did heroes. This year we did, we had different words to affirm, like, okay, cool, commitment. We're in. We got this. Everybody can be committed to something. Everybody can do a little bit better job at committing to whatever in life.
Yeah.
So we went full circle. And then the guy who I had speak before, he was a guest speaker with his Brandon Dorner, and he gave a speech on what commitment is, and it had nothing to really do with athletics. It was everything about life.
Mhm.
So you take athletics and competition out of competition and you hone it into life. And I think that's where you come together as humanity and you can all see the same picture. And I think that's what we did really well, is to bring the athletes together from a community standpoint and just everybody. I don't know, it's like this bond that is formed in rally. It's like your rally brothers and sisters. You go to these different events, these decas, these high roxes, and it's like, oh, my rally bro, a rally shirt, hey, check it out, you know what I mean? So it's like it's a really cool thing to see and watch and be behind the lens of and behind the computer screen or phone and say, oh wow, cool, somebody tagged me and it's rally stuff. It's really awesome. And I think we did a really good job at kind of bringing that and driving that home.
Yeah, I think, I two of our athletes, Vera and Cece, competed this year, and it was just so cool to get their feedback. They made a ton of friends, which is awesome. But then also getting their feedback. I mean, they're both over 40, women over 40. They both have children. Vera's got three, Cece's got two. So it's like, going into it, they were like, oh, we're probably just gonna like be at the bottom and we're not gonna they just had all these judgments about themselves and they were like, we're gonna
Yeah.
be the grandmas there or whatever. And then they get there and immediately they've made friends with a woman who's also over 40, who's also competing. And they're like, oh shit, this is a
Yeah.
thing that happens.
I know who
Like
you're talking. And
multiple
dude, that
brothers
that
there.
whole
Yeah.
thing, like, yeah, are you talking about Tiffany Peltier?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Tiff is awesome. Like, she has an awesome, amazing story. I hope somebody can talk to her and she can get that story out. I don't know how public she wants to go with it, but like she has an amazing story of defying adversity and beating the odds of a lot of different things in life. And to be where she is now at 40 is amazing. Like, she fell in love with the area, but man, she's great. She's signed up for the camp.
Good.
So yeah, dude, it's crazy how just close knit these people get.
Yeah.
You have another one, Jack Olson and Kevin Foltz. They met randomly at a Subway in Hurricane and they talk every day.
Yeah.
Like, just two bros talking every day, and now they're trying to film a TV show together. Like, it's crazy how Rally has connected so many people in so many different ways.
Yeah, because you're all interested in the same stuff. You all have the same mindset, and you're just bringing all those people together and then letting them hang out for several days. Like that's just nothing but positive.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
going into, running these camps and these rally prep camps, um, which I just think is an awesome idea. What like when you're talking about the coaching with Ryan and you're coming up with what the training plan is for these weekends, is the goal to kind of impart skills, mental fitness, kind of all of it with the camp? Like, what can people expect to take away from it?
Everything, learning about yourself, learning your mental capacities, your physical abilities, and learning from each other. I think it's a very small group. So like literally think whiteboard status, like back in the early CrossFit days, like weightlifting days. Hey, let's get this whiteboard. I'm going to teach you about some things. Deadlift. All right, what are the standards of deadlift? This is how we do it. This is how to get better. mountain biking. This is what it is. This is how we get better. This is what to do. This is what to not to do. So
Yeah.
I think all these different things that Ryan can bring to the table. I mean, he does it all. He's a jack of all trades when it comes to fitness. But yeah, just expect like to again that camaraderie, that close knit group. There's only going to be 10 athletes allowed at this camp.
Yeah.
3 coaches, 10 athletes. That's it. I may even give up my own spot so somebody else can, go through that. Cause I mean, even I want to go, like I have to pay, I'm going, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's how cool
Yeah.
this is going to be. Like I want to be there as an athlete, as a, somebody who's being coached. So like, I may have to put my selfish ways down and just let somebody else go. But yeah, expect to just go through everything emotionally, physically, just learning about yourself, learning about everybody else, and kind of learning where your threshold is and getting better. No matter if you're 20 years old or 44 years old, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just go there and learn
Yeah.
because we're never too young to start to keep learning. We're learning every day something that we can do better at.
And to your point
Yeah,
about, I think that's interesting too, when you said like learning how to challenge yourself, learning what your threshold is. A lot of the conversations I have with my athletes is like competing is, you get better at competing by competing more often. You have to go like shoulder to shoulder with someone and work with them and against them and play off them and learn how to do that and learn where your threshold is. 'Cause I think so often we train by ourselves and it's too easy to be like, I'll pace it. Oh, I don't
yeah,
want to burn out. I don't want this to happen. Or like, I'll just slow down here. I'll take an extra breath. And then you look around you, and then there's that one athlete who doesn't have that setting, and they're a competitor, and they're locked
yeah,
in. They're performing right at that red line the entire time. And you're like, you finish the workout, and you're like, I'm not nearly as dead as they are. I could have gone harder. Like,
yeah,
how do you
exactly.
learn how
And
to do that? And I think that is so,
yeah,
getting people together to train, because you can do that alone and pretend like you're doing it, but like truthfully, you need to be competing against other people.
yeah, and I would say a majority of the hybrid athletes that I have talked to through Rally, like they train by themselves only because they're not really using gyms.
Yeah.
They're working out of their homes. They're running a lot. They're doing things by themselves that, yeah, okay, maybe like you learn how to push yourself, or you know what your threshold is as far as like your red line and your heart rate and monitoring all these different things. But like you can't emulate competition. And so like this is the closest thing you can get to going against everybody else, against your peers, and learning how and where you can push harder or where you need to slow down at. Because I think both of those measures are very obtainable. Like to, okay, cool, I could push a little bit harder here, but maybe I need to slow down here because I can, or I need to push harder in this area of my fitness. So it's a really good, I'm excited for it, man. Like I'm really pumped that he's putting this on and helping me, see this thing through. And yeah, getting these athletes who typically work out by themselves together and then just, man, learn so much.
I think that's my favorite part about it. I think that's what
Yeah,
the community needs. That's what hybrid needs.
yeah,
It'd be really cool if you guys did like a documentary or filming of the camp.
yeah. Well, we thought about that, and like if you think about it, that may take away the aspects of some athletes trying to feel comfortable and like being in their element, having a camera in their face. So like we've talked about that. Like we do need to document this somehow, whether it's internally or having an external person come in and, you know, filming it, or maybe one of the athletes is already like into videography or photography that we can just use and shoot. But like definitely thought about that. And like for sponsorship levels too, like that would be insane. We
Yeah.
definitely need to capture some of those moments for sure.
Something like,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
yourself a phone and have it out the whole time or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get the feedback from the athletes during, those that are comfortable with it,
Yeah.
because it'll be, you're like, you're right, it's going to be intimate, so you don't want to have it be like filmed the entire time, but at
Yeah.
the same time people will know what to expect at the next one, so they'll be even
Yep.
more excited about it. So you had um oh gosh, hybrid, what's the name, hybrid report, hybrid fitness, hybrid media, what was the name of the company that did all of your?
Oh, the um the hybrid report. So Shan Powell, the hybrid report came out and they brought a team from Cincinnati to film most of the weekend, and put together some shorts for us at the end. So they did an awesome job. And I really think that the media teams in the past have not really gelled well together. And I think that Brian Pickett photography, and Shan, his team. He had his wife, his daughter, a few gentlemen from Cincinnati, all filming there. Like you got to think you have 8 athletes on the line, but then you also have like 8 photographers or videographers on the line as well. And if you realize those videos and those photos, you didn't really see any of those other people. So working together in a line to try to capture your shot, right, is very important. I think everybody did just an awesome job working together. And I think that that's what this sport needs, is to have everybody come together, whether it's hybrid, fitness, media, or, the hybrid report, different photographers that are out there. Like if everybody could just work together and, man, come together and just make this sport awesome and be more like rally, you know what I mean? And just do your thing and have fun.
Yeah.
I
And
think
that's
that
what
was
always
kind of cool.
is like the in fitness, not maybe not in hybrid, but there's sometimes in hybrid, honestly, but in fitness, there's always this idea that like there's scarcity or something, or like that you need to carve out your niche and you need to be at the top and you can't really share your secrets and you can't um I don't know, like there's this constant sort of competitiveness, especially amongst, I want to say, not leaders in the space, but maybe coaches or creators or something. And to me, that's such an unfortunate like mistake, because there are so many people that need coaching, that want to do hybrid, that are doing hybrid, that want to compete, that want a place to go and want something to do. Like they need someone to show them the way. They need to
Yeah.
see, they want to get pictures taken of themselves. They like just getting more people working together through events or similar, I just think is the best thing ever, because
Yeah. I think, if you
can't
look at like the mid 2010s, when Matt Frazier was coming up in the CrossFit era, and you had all these closed off, like no media was allowed in his training camps. Like everything was kind of hush hush. Nobody really knew how he was training or what weights you're training. Here, like Jack Driscoll, for example, I know he's not like a Matt Frazier type of athlete, but in this space, like right now, between Hybricon Games, between us at Rally, like he's the top dog, right? He's probably going to win the Hybricon Games, I'm assuming, unless somebody else sneaks up behind him, but like he's up there, right? You talk to that guy, he'll be like, yeah, dude, I'll tell you everything I did. Come train with me. I'll help you. Call me. Like, there's no secret to that. And I
yeah.
think that goes with a lot of the other athletes. And on the female side, like Corinna, hey, yeah, come work out with me. If you're in San
I love
Diego, hit me up. Like, I will do whatever I can to help you out. Like, there's no secret there. It's all open arms. Come train, get better. Because at the end of the day, those individuals know that they're going to push just a little bit harder, like we talked about earlier, that threshold. They know that they have a higher threshold. So, like, there's no secret. And I love it.
Yeah, that's there isn't really anything that we don't already know. It just comes down to either knowing how to apply it, having the confidence to apply it, or just applying it for long enough. That's really it. Like, so I just getting as many people together as possible is always my favorite approach in the hybrid space, in fitness in general, but
Yeah.
definitely I think it's much needed in hybrid. It's such a lonely sport otherwise. So looking forward to 2025, you've made hints that there's going to be potentially ways to get yourself off the wait list. You're doing the deadlift event, probably a longer run. Um, have you?
Paddleboarding will be back.
Yay!
Woo! Yep.
Everyone was bummed when that wasn't there this year.
I know. I know.
It's got
So
to
that'll
be
be
it.
back.
Yeah. Are you gonna have mountain biking again?
Um, yeah, I do want to do it. It's probably going to be one of those top 8 things, because to make it fair, everybody's got to have the same style of bike. I think, if somebody came in with like a $20,000 mountain bike with all the bells and whistles on it, and then you're competing against somebody with like an $800 bike, it's vastly different. And,
Yeah.
mechanically, they're going to have an advantage. So, like, we probably will to some extent. It might look a little similar to what we did this year, just with a different spin to it. So, more to come on that. See what else do I want to divulge you to. We're gonna shoot next year. We're gonna shoot guns next year,
I love.
so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, next year is gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and um, yeah, I'm excited for what may come for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I know there's not much that you can give away for next year now, but if people want to obviously stay on top of things, see when you announce things, if they want to get on the wait list for rally, where's the best place for them to start to do that? Would that be your Instagram?
Instagram. So what I did a couple weeks ago, I was bored. I was sitting in Columbus, Ohio, and I was like, I'm gonna create a YouTube channel and then just throw secrets on YouTube. And that's what I did. I created a YouTube channel. It was actually my old like personal YouTube channel that I just created like to rally. And I was like, that's where I'm gonna put all my secrets at. I'm not gonna put anything on Instagram. I'm just gonna put everything on that YouTube channel, and that's where all the secrets are gonna be. So you can find some secrets there.
Okay, sounds good to me. So rally, we'll find you on Instagram, we'll find you on YouTube. Um, and is there anything else you want to touch on, talk about, convey, going into even just Hybricon?
Now I think with even with the Hybricon, I think that's gonna be it's more of a destination as far as being on the island. So I think just being ready like you are for rally, right? Just getting yourself physically and mentally ready. But it's that destination everybody's excited about to be on that island and to
Yeah,
compete and all stay in the same spot. So I think like it's going to bring a huge different dynamic. And there's some fun stuff that we got planned out for day 3.
the
So
Survivor
Sunday
Day.
morning. So yeah, Survivor Day is going to be fun. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see what you guys come up with. All of y'all are diabolical, so
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of it's putting a leash on Hunter, but
a little bit, a lot of it. You got
no,
like, we'll put him in a cage. Yeah, I mean, if that's even possible.
no, he would
Yeah.
break out. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Matt. I'll just put links to everything in all of the descriptions, and thank you for coming on and chatting about everything. If anyone's interested in working with Rally, doing Rally, reach out to Matt, reach out to me. We'll connect you and get everything set up. So thanks, Matt.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course.